Tottenham are back to square one in their hunt for a manager 50 days after Jose Mourinho was sacked, as Fabio Paratici soon will take over the role of finding the next manager for Spurs. Paratici is meeting with Tottenham representatives in Turin today or tomorrow ahead of flying to London to finalise a deal where he will join Spurs, and then he takes up, as the Athletic put it, the unenviable task of finding Tottenham's next manager. We're going to talk about that, getting a roundup on the latest stories, including Antonio Conte, Eric Ten Hag, and Mauricio Pochettino. But before we do dive into that, if you are new to the channel and you want more of this content, make sure to smash that subscribe button down below for more updates on Tottenham's pursuit of a manager and the Tottenham Hotspur Transfer Talk series, which will be in full flow this summer as soon as Tottenham get a man who can make those transfers happen. And look, let's go straight into this with the report tonight from The Athletic, coming from, I believe, Jack Pipbrook, who has said Fabio Paratici will walk into Tottenham Hotspur later this week with an unenviable task on his hands in his new role at the club. His first job will be the most important of all, finally bringing to an end Spurs' drawn-out search for a new head coach. As we say, 50 days today since Jose Mourinho was sacked by Spurs. Paratici is not even a Tottenham employee yet, but he will meet club staff in Turin on Tuesday, today, before, all being well, flying back to London at the end of this week to be formally announced, most likely as general manager. He must do so with some fresh ideas to fill the vacancy in the dugout after a bruising few weeks for the club. And I think bruising there from Jack Pipbrook is an understatement, as Tottenham extend the record as the club who are the longest without a manager in Europe's top 5 leagues. 50 days, as we said, since Jose was sacked. It's interesting that our previous manager, when Pochettino was sacked, it took just 11 hours to have Jose Mourinho in place. But I suppose it goes to show the failures and the shortcomings of the club in the 19 months that have since passed, as we yet again fail to close the deals on managers who we've been close to getting, Mauricio Pochettino and Antonio Conte. Now, those deals aren't entirely to be ruled out just yet. I think in terms of hope and faith in those being done, I think a lot of Spurs fans are in the same bracket, in that we're just not getting our hopes up anymore. You can see the odds beside me, as they do pass. Odds shortening quite a bit on Giampieri Gasparini tonight, which we will of course touch on as well. With Paratici coming in, maybe it will be an Italian manager that he seeks to be the next at Spurs. Let's welcome a few people into the live chat. We had Risky Void, Baran4, and Lewis That's Football in here early on. Shauna Blaney, channel member. Good to see you in the live chat, Shauna. It says Tottenham becoming worse than a joke. Well, we absolutely are. James Watson, another channel member. Bradley Coombs as well says, just give Poch whatever he wants. And Steve, one brick at a time, mod and member. Good to see you in here. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as Cody says, like and subscribe to the GOAT, Matty Hayes. I wouldn't call myself the GOAT, but definitely do like and subscribe. I do appreciate that one. But look, let's talk about the story from Jack Pipbrook. And it's not one that is coming exactly as a surprise. We know the appointment of Fabio Paratici is imminent. This will be done by the end of the week. The difference from what we're hearing with this one and the rumours of Antonio Conte late last week is Paratici has put pen to paper. And that is what Fabrizio Romano said. All agreements have been made. This is done. It's a matter of those formalities. And like we say, getting Paratici to London and making the deal formal. It will be under the title of General Manager, which is very different to Sporting Director, Director of Football, but that is essentially what his role will be. Steve Hitchen has been kind of carrying that out, and his roles have varied from Chief Scout to Performance Technical Director, where he currently stands. He is believed to be remaining within that setup, but Fabio Paratici will take control of the footballing decisions. And more stories today said that Daniel Levy finally realises it is time to step back on the footballing decisions and allow someone else within the club to take control of that. And Paratici is the man. He's given that again unenviable task to. I do have a lot of content on my channel already about who Paratici is, what he will bring, what he's done in the past, including his incredible achievements with Juventus. So if you do want to hear more about him, make sure to go check those videos out, because you will hear everything you need to know, from his best signings, including Ronaldo, to his best free signings, including Andrea Pirlo, Paul Pogba, and exactly what Juventus said as he did leave the club. But where does the managerial hunt go from here? And that's the question that does need to be asked. Now, I've heard that Paratici, when he does put pen to paper, when he does finally complete that deal, he will try one last time to convince Antonio Conte to come to Spurs. So that is why we're saying, and that is why we're hearing, that this deal is not completely dead. We're going to go through Fabrizio Romano's updates on this yesterday when he was on Chris Cowland's channel. He said Conte to Tottenham isn't completely finished. We can't completely rule this all out. Conte is still interested. Everything that we're hearing is that Conte and his camp, his party, were so surprised and shocked by how quickly the talks with Spurs fell apart last Friday. Tottenham continued to try and get the get the deal that they wanted over the line on Friday afternoon after things had kind of dissipated. But Conte, under the terms that were being offered, didn't want a deal. But as Romano has said today, and as I have heard, Conte never said no to Spurs. It was Spurs who pulled out of those negotiations and said no to Conte under the terms that he wants the deal to happen. So Conte is still interested, and the lie of the field right now is if Spurs offer Conte what he wants, he will be the next Spurs manager. If we give him the 7 backroom staff that he wants, if we give him the extra salary, if we give him the transfer budget, he will be the next Spurs manager. Now, whether that's going to happen, I think we're all in the same base on that one. It's probably not. Daniel Levy just isn't. He isn't the type of manager who will give in to those demands. Who will basically be out negotiated, I suppose, if that is the best way to put it. Jason Fox coming in with the 10,000 Colombian peso. Jason, thank you very much for the super chat. I really appreciate it. It says, what do you think of players not wanting Conte, Matt, and which players do you think it is? I have Winks in mind and maybe Ali. And we're going to come back to that in a second, because Shauna Blaney coming in with another massive super chat. Shauna, another £100. Shauna, I honestly, I can't thank you enough at this stage. That is absolutely crazy. Shauna says, this is ridiculous. Daniel Levy making us fall further behind the other clubs. Aston Villa making transfers while we still don't have a manager. Disgraceful. Shauna, from the bottom of my heart, I massively appreciate all this. Thank you so much. We'll go back to Jason's comment, then we'll talk about Shauna's there as well, because I'm in shock at all these super chats you're sending in. Thank you so much. Which players do we not want Conte? And look, we heard that there were a lot of players who were excited about the appointment of Conte, and we know who those ones are. Harry Kane, Heung-min Son, Toby Alderweireld, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, Hugo Lloris, maybe a few others. I think it's even easier to decipher which players didn't want him. As you say, Harry Winks. Dele Alli, I think, could be one of those as well. Ben Davis, Matt Doherty, Eric Lamela maybe. Sandiso, thank you for subscribing. I think we know the players that are going to be those ones. It goes to show the mentality that's at this club, I think, is the first thing that we can take from that. It's the mentality. It's the exactly what these players want. Is it to coast along in an easy job and make their couple of 100,000 every week or every month? Very, very likely that is the case, and it's really concerning. These are players who flourished under Mauricio Pochettino, whose training was intense, mentally fatiguing. Everything about it was, you needed to be 100% bought into it. These players flourished under that, and they've had the easiness of what we're hearing Jose Mourinho's training sessions were, and now they've been given the chance to go back to, or they've been kind of not given the chance, but the potential to go back in with a manager who is physically demanding in his training sessions. He's mentally demanding, all of that good stuff, but with the promise of more likely to be successful. And they don't want it. We don't want this. They had their concerns. Maybe it's they're worried about losing their place in the team because they know they're not good enough. They know Conte is going to dive really deep into the transfer market with Fabio Paratici. Maybe they're concerned for their place in the squad. But if that's the case, don't say we don't want this manager. Work harder and become a better footballer. And that is what this squad don't have. And we'll move on to Shauna's comment again, because I'm, again, in shock at another huge super chat from you, Shauna. Thank you very, very much. And that point of Aston Villa is a very, very good one. And it's one that I feel is very relevant. And I brought it up a few streams ago as well. Daniel Levy, with not bringing this manager in, the transfer window opens tomorrow, for those who don't know. We don't have a manager who can tell us the types of players he wants. Now, Fabio Paratici is working behind the scenes, first of all, to sell some players, which we'll touch on from Alistair Gold in a minute, but he's already identifying targets that he may want to bring into the club. Daniel Levy, by not getting that manager in and by not having that man who can give the yes or no to whatever transfers Paratici suggests, could be detrimental to this team next season, especially with the Euro starting in 3 days' time, which, by the way, I'm very excited for. And that point of Aston Villa is one that I really love. And you're looking at Villa have already agreed a deal for Emi Buendia, and they're interested in bringing in James Ward-Prowse as well. 2 very, very talented midfielders, very talented players that I think both of which we would take at Spurs. All of a sudden, you can tell Villa are going to be letting Jack Grealish go, but they're spending the money from Jack Grealish before they even get it. So when they let Grealish go, they're not in a very bad situation. They're not in a position where they have to go out and buy players. And let's imagine they waited a month to buy Buendia. Let's imagine 2 weeks' time Grealish leaves, 4 weeks' time Villa go in for Buendia. All of a sudden, that £35 million price tag is £45 million. All of a sudden, the 40 they're being quoted for James Ward-Prowse is £50 million. And the transfers are much more difficult to be completed because they're under so much more pressure to get that done. By getting these deals finished before Jack Grealish leaves, they're saving themselves money, time, effort and stress. Whereas with Daniel Levy, you know that's not going to be the case. Daniel Levy, if for example, Harry Kane is going to leave this summer. He will wait till Harry Kane is gone. He'll pocket 70% of the income from that, and then he'll go out and try and get a player. And all of a sudden, we won't have enough to get that player done. The fact that we are envious of Aston Villa's transfer dealings is crazy. And last summer, it was the same. We wanted Ollie Watkins from Brentford. We couldn't afford him, so Aston Villa went in and took him. That is absolutely terrifying as a Spurs fan. It really is. But yeah, look, let's just go back to the Conte situation. Numerous issues remain. Again, those are the backroom staff, the salary, whatever the transfer assurances are. Now, I do understand there are some worries about this on the Spurs side as well with regards to Conte's reluctance to use youth. I believe players like Oliver Skipp and Ryan Sessegnon are ones that he wants to immediately ship out, and basically finances as well. But then that begs the question, why would Spurs go into negotiations with him in the first place if the transfer budget is going to be an issue? Because you know what he's going to want. Look, I don't want to go too much about this because I spoke a lot about this yesterday. Now, Fabio Paratici, as per Alistair Gold, like I said, is currently working on selling players to raise funds for the new manager. We knew all along from Alistair Gold in the last couple of months that we would need to sell to buy, and Fabio Paratici is already working on getting those players out. Serge Aurier has already spoken about his desire to leave the club this summer. It looks like PSG is a potential destination for him. Now, with their potential signing of Achraf Hakimi, I don't know where that one lies at the moment, but you would imagine Aurier would still be seeking a move away, and Alistair Gold said that would happen. He said the same with Sissoko, who has also spoken about the potential for him to leave this summer. He said anything is possible, he's open to anything, and it's essentially if Spurs say we want you to stay, he'll stay. If they say we want you to go, he will go. Malorian says, why have William Hill suspended betting on a Spurs manager position? And John, I was trying to look into the timing of all that when the first couple of times William Hill did it, but they seem to be doing it every other day at this stage. They're suspending the markets, and they did it yesterday and reopened them this morning. And that was the first time where there wasn't really major news while they had suspended their markets. There tended to be some big updates in the first couple of times they suspended, but now I've just given up on trying to figure out why it is. I'm not too sure, but look, we'll have to. Hopefully they know something as the official betting partner of the club. Hopefully we'll get some news in the next couple of days. But again, I wouldn't hold out too much hope. However, on that point, Fabrizio Romano said yesterday that Tottenham still hope to produce a surprise in the next days and appoint a manager before the Euros. Now, very, very different to what Jack Pitbrook said today, with Spurs back to square one in their hunt for a manager. But just to bring it back up to date, this is what Romano said yesterday. And he also said that Conte wants to take a year out, but then the news came that he still wants a Spurs job. So we're not entirely sure where that lies. But I just want to have another quick chat about this news from Jack Pitbrook. Before we do get into that, there's over 400 people watching. Please hit that like button. It really helps us push the stream out to more and more people. We're on 75 likes right now, so let's see if we can get that to 100 likes as quickly as possible. And make sure to subscribe to the channel as well if you are new. We're on the road to 10k before the season starts, and those numbers are climbing up way quicker than I ever could have imagined. So please do support the channel by becoming a subscriber and making sure you don't miss out on the content coming up this summer, including the Tottenham Hotspur Transfer Talk series, which could be very exciting, as Fabio Paratici apparently is looking at the likes of Leonardo Bonucci, Adrian Rabiot, and yes, Paulo Dybala as potential Spurs signings. I'm not getting my hopes up on that just yet, but that is what the media is saying, and that is just the hope that they're trying to give us. But look, as Jack Pitbrook said, we're back to square one, and you have to wonder how Daniel Levy can come out in that post-season match program for the game against Aston Villa, was at our last home game, and say that he cares about what happens on the pitch, he cares about the on-field success, and then wait 50 days to bring in a manager. Wait till what will undoubtedly be after the transfer window opens to bring in a manager. It is, actions speak louder than words, and Daniel Levy could come out tomorrow and say, all I care about is winning on the pitch. I'm going to invest £1 billion into the squad this season. I'm going to do this, do that. Tristan, back to square one means we're back where we started. We're in the exact same position that we were when we sacked Jose Mourinho. We've essentially made no progress in our pursuit of the manager. And look, No Blame says, I like how Matt is so chill telling us info without getting triggered. Look, we get triggered sometimes. Just you wait. If we're here in the same position next week, you'll see me triggered. But actions speak louder than words, and Daniel Levy needs to cop on, and he needs to get a manager in, because we're falling so far behind in our preparations for next season. And that could be detrimental to, first of all, whatever manager comes in. And I said this about Antonio Conte I was on the Cheese Room podcast last night, and a fantastic show if you do want to go check it out. Um, if Antonio Conte, just for example, Conte, Poch, Ten Hag, whoever it is, if they come into the job now and Daniel Levy backs them in the market, let's say he gives them £150 million net to improve the squad, which could be 250, 300 million invested in the squad, depending on sales. The likelihood of them being successful next season with that squad is much less than what it would be if they'd been appointed, as we were initially told before the season had ended, if they had the entire summer to prepare. That will be reflected on the manager. His performance will be reflected on him and not Daniel Levy's failings to get the manager in quickly. The exact same applies to Mauricio Pochettino. Yes, he messed up. Maybe Lucas should have played in that Champions League final. Maybe he needed to make some changes to the squad when he didn't. He was too reluctant to change those players who were stalwarts in that squad, especially Dele Alli. But the majority of Mauricio Pochettino's shortcomings as Spurs manager came because Daniel Levy, for 3 transfer windows, 18 months, did not invest in that squad. It is Daniel Levy's fault, yet Mauricio Pochettino is the one whose job was taken away from him. Jason Fox with another 10,000 pesos says, do you think Levy will actually take a step back from what happens on the pitch, or is it just another lie to try and get fans on board? And that is the big concern we have. And I suppose it's in a similar vein, it falls into what I'm saying there. If Fabio Paratici is given the final say or entire control over players that come in, because of how long it's taking us to get a manager in, and because of the reduced time frame that he and Paratici have to work to make this squad competitive for next season, if that doesn't work out, that will be reflected on Paratici and the manager. And Levy will be more reluctant to give them that money next summer and the summer after that to try and invest in the squad, because he will see that he gave them the money and it didn't work out because his footballing knowledge is next to nothing. And that is the be all and end all of this. It's about money for Levy. He doesn't know football. You need to invest consistently in the squad. Khaldoon Mubarak, the Man City chairman, said just as much last week in his message to City fans that winning the league, that was the time they needed to invest the most, and they did. And look at them now. I don't think Daniel Levy will completely take that step back from these decisions. He's a control freak, and he needs to be the man making these decisions. He needs to be involved in it. And as much as I think I said it with Jose as well, as much as he maybe had believed that he was going to back Jose, he might think that, but it might not happen if things go right. And as much as he might think now that he will give Fabio Paratici full control over that, he's not going to be able to, especially if one or two things go wrong, especially if we start to fail with the players that are brought in. And that is my biggest concern. He might genuinely believe it now, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen. Just to update you on the current situation with Mauricio Pochettino and Erik Ten Hag, there are reports coming out of France today that PSG would be willing to let Mauricio Pochettino go to Spurs if he explicitly expresses his desire to do so, because they want to move for Zinedine Zidane. Now, Zidane has been a free agent as a manager since the end of the season when he left Real Madrid, stating that the team would be better off without him. He was widely expected to go to the capital of France when Pochettino was expected to go to Spurs. However, the developments that have gone on there, of course, Pochettino is still in France. He's working very hard on getting some signings in. It is believed that he is the man who convinced Gini Wijnaldum to pick PSG over Barcelona. He, of course, is working to get Achraf Hakimi in as well. And then there's another player that might be signing who's, I can't think of right now, Gigi Donnarumma from AC Milan is expected to join PSG as well. So Poch already very busy in the transfer market. However, if he does express that desire to leave PSG, like we've been hearing all along, if he expresses it publicly, that is when he may get a move away. Nasser Al-Khelaifi and Leonardo in Paris are adamant that he will not be leaving. But with Zinedine Zidane free, the one thing PSG want and the one thing they haven't yet got is the Champions League. Zidane has won it 4 times. It could be a very, very enticing opportunity for PSG, but we'll have to wait and see how that one plays out. Poch isn't the man to say anything publicly there, and I think that is where we will miss out on him inevitably. The other man is Erik Ten Hag, who is the current favourite to be the next Spurs manager. You can see his odds there beside me, coming in at 2-1 with Sky Bet, 3-1 with Paddy Power and Betfair, and 11-4 Boyd Sports. William Hill have suspended all markets on Tottenham's next manager, as I'm seeing there in the live chat, along with Coral as well. Erik Ten Hag is Tottenham's next option if Fabio Paratici, when he comes in, fails to convince Antonio Conte. So that's one thing I meant to bring up as well. What I'm hearing is that when Fabio Paratici comes into Spurs, he will try one last time to make Antonio Conte happen. I think a lot of that is trying to convince Daniel Levy to give Conte what he wants, because again, from Romano, Antonio Conte wants the Tottenham job, and if he is offered his terms, he will take it. So if Paratici can't make a deal happen there, Tottenham will then push for Erik ten Hag, and he could very well be the next manager of Spurs. Now, Spurs, of course, already spoke to ten Hag throughout this entire situation. It was earlier, before the season ended. Spurs had a video call with Erik ten Hag. This was coming out from a reliable source today. I forget, it could have been Dan Kilpatrick. I'm not entirely sure, so don't quote me on that. But it was a reliable source who said this, that Spurs, via video chat, did talk to Erik ten Hag. However, it was then, as Romano told us, Spurs who pulled down in negotiations with him as they weren't entirely convinced by his project. He then went back to Ajax. They triggered a year extension, and the big difference on that one is that doesn't necessarily tie him to that Ajax job. You know, contracts can be bought out, but the difference is, now that that has been triggered, if Spurs want ten Hag, we have to pay compensation. And our reluctance to get that deal done initially, and now having to fall back on that, could cost us a little bit of money. We've so many people subscribing. Detrix Kane, thank you for hitting that subscribe button. Thank you to everyone who has hit it as well. And we're closing in on 500 viewers here, which is great to see at 9 o'clock on a Tuesday evening. But look, that's it. That's your update on Spurs. Now we are going to raid, like we always like to do here in this channel. We're going to raid Will Stewart THFC Rants. Their channel just hit 2K, or just hit 1,000 subscribers in the last 24 or so hours. So what we're going to do is we're going to raid Will, and we're just going to congratulate him, really. They've put in some fantastic work over there. Now, Will has hosted watch-alongs on this channel as well. He's doing some incredible work over there with Cody Mack, Mr. K, and the entire team over there. So please head over to Will's link, the link to his video there live right now. You can see the link in the live chat. Say Matt Hayes raid and congratulate them on getting to 1K, as we did to Tottenham away yesterday. Of the 500 people here, I'm sure 250 of you can go over and support them, because you know they absolutely fully deserve it. Do make sure to hit the like button on your way out. We're on 140. Let's see if we can get to 175 before we do go. But please, please, please head over to Will Stewart THFC Rants and show the support to the channel that massively deserves it. You know, it's growing faster than any channel I've seen. Some incredible... We've Cody Mack here in the house as well, says Matt Hayes raid. It's the wrong way, Cody. You're supposed to go over there to them. But look, it's fully deserved. It's a channel that I love watching. I'll be in the live chat there for the next half an hour or so as well. So if you want to come over and say hi there, say hi to Will and congratulate that incredible channel on their success, please do. But like I said, hit that like button on the way out. There's still 490 of you watching here. So of your 490, hit that link in the live chat, head over to Will, and again, let him have the congratulations and the support that he deserves. I suppose there's no more I can say in that matter. But look, we are going to wrap it up there. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in. Nearly 2,500 of you over the last 20 minutes, which again on a Tuesday night is absolutely insane. On the road to 10K, please do hit that subscribe button. It will be greatly, greatly appreciated. Head over to Will, Matt Hayes raid, get it done. As always, thanks for watching.